You know a show is good when the hardest thing in making a video about it is actually finding enough B-roll footage of it that is appropriate for YouTube. Following the ecchi genre is always an exciting pursuit, because you just never know what you can expect. When you unknowingly open the next seasonal anime chart and looking through all the new releases, your attention immediately shifts to the hottest girl on the cover art, with the smallest clothes, the biggest personality, and the sharpest little side fang. It's a wild ride that just keeps on giving. Sometimes you find something like harem in the labyrinth of another world, and you say, "Oh, this is actually pretty cute and hot. I can see the appeal now." Or at least I would assume so. I've never actually seen the story parts myself. And then, when you excitingly choose the next one to watch, it's redo of Healer. So, after you got properly culture shocked back to reality, you start to get ready to burn down the studio that made this and then never touch any ecchi anime ever again. But then your friend recommends you this show called Interspecies Reviewers and swears that you will have a good time with it if you give it a chance. And turns out, you actually do. It was pretty funny with some great jokes and surprisingly smart writing choices about the stereotypical fantasy races and making fun about our favorite cultural tags. You start to get your faith back in the genre and appreciate it for what it is and what it can give you as a viewer, that other animes just can't because of their limitations. You are excited again, looking forward to the future. And then you see Inukai-san's dog.
What is that? What the fuck is that?
That's pretty much the life cycle of these shows. And now, the latest installment among them is Gushing Over Magical Girls, which checks out all the boxes that are required for our Dejin brains to immediately grab our attentions. Weirdly sexual fantasy outfits, the best lewd faces for an infinite amount of clickbait thumbnails, hot girls, cute girls, big mommy girls, even bigger mommy girls, and a plot that is barely enough to not call this a hentai, but serves its purpose to create plenty of situations where the show can be funny and entertaining while presenting us the real plot that we're here for.
Just kill me already. I'm a villain, not a monster.
Also, I just have to mention it. The soundtrack is so much better than it has any right to be. It's super catchy and funny when it needs to be, and complements the ongoing scenes perfectly. It's noticeably higher quality than most of these kind of ecchi shows. The story is really just here for presentation. Don't expect any dramatic storytelling or overarching character arcs here beyond what is necessary for the basic setting and idea of the show to keep going. It's mostly just used as a shell for all the wacky situations and shenanigans the characters find themselves in, which is a very common practice among these type of shows. Nothing wrong with that. Basically, we have our main character, Utena, who is a shy and introverted girl, and she passionately admires the three magical girls protecting their city quietly from a distance. Until one day, this weird floating plushie finds her, gives her powers, and kind of forces her to be the new villain for these girls, and fight them. If you think this summary was too brief or superficial, well, this took probably the same amount of time that the actual show did introducing us and Utena to the basics. This puppet just appeared in front of us and speedrun any percent of the exposition in like 2 minutes, and we were done with it. It was pretty effective, not gonna lie. They know exactly why we're here for, and don't want to waste our time with insignificant details like building up a compelling story or any silly stuff like that. And like this, we just have more time for the real plot. Utena got over it pretty quickly as well, when she had to confront the girls for the first time. She turned from this to this in like a second.
Batman would never hit a defenseless woman.
Funny. I don't have that problem.
I did not hit her. It's not true. It's bullshit. I did not hit her.
From here on, our journey can truly begin, where during the 13-episode runtime, we go through as many kinds of fetishes as possible, collecting them all, like Ash does with the Pokémons. Or a Disney movie with minority groups.
It's Hollywood, baby.
We have bondage, whipping, blindfold, spanking, tickling, mind control, role play, being small, being big, being watched in public, classic girl on girl stuff, slime thingy, and of course tentacles, just for good measure. We have all the different hentai tags you'd want. Well, most of them anyway.
I have to say, I'm really flattered that people are excited about my feet. I think that's lovely. I am, genuinely. I don't feel weird about it. I am actually like, well, that's nice.
It's a nice, yeah.
Yeah.
Although, maybe there are some that are just better left out now that I think about it. I almost thought that there won't be any beach episodes in the anime, but they managed to sneak it in just for the season finale, as a little treat for sticking around, I guess. Can't wait for the tournament arc next season. Make me proud, show, and ascend to the highs of the great ones before your time. The three main girls are all perfect candidates for their type of role as well. They look and act exactly like they were just meant to be in situations like this, which feels a bit creepy to say now that I said it out loud. As I mentioned before, don't expect any complex characters from this show. Everyone is pretty stereotypical. Like, this is eerily familiar. Oh, never mind. This role is already taken. I have to tell you though, that little cat face Kaoruko makes sometimes, people would go to war for that, me included. The way how simple the show can be with its characters can bring an extra layer to the humor of it, like with the different names. She's a musician girl who is a little bit crazy. Wonder what her name could be. Oh, I see. Ah, Sister Gigant. What is her ability again? Ah, yes, but of course. So this is what it feels like to date a guy under 180. That's like 6 feet for places with freedom. Wait, leopard? Well, that makes no sense. Maybe this is something interesting. Never mind then. Also, while we're at it, I have to tell you this. Because when I first heard that the main character's alias is gonna be Baiser, it just immediately struck me that I heard that name before, or at least something very similar, but I just couldn't figure it out who it was. This drove me crazy. I couldn't get this out of my mind for days. First I thought that it reminded me of Baizu from Genshin. They both have a weird affection towards creatures with tentacle-like qualities after all, so we have a connection here, but it doesn't sound similar enough. Until one day, the divine knowledge just hit me. I don't know what you're supposed to do with this information, but I hope now you will never be able to look at her ever again without thinking of this. You're welcome. And in case you thought about that already, the middle part of homeowner is meow. It's ho meow nair.
Rar ubu xd ovo meow ovo nya ubu neko owu-chan.
You can never unsee this again, just to make sure I ruined your day with something.
You own cats, right?
Yes.
And there's cats here too.
But they're not cats, they're teenage girls.
Well,
Unlike Rito of Healer, this anime tries to stay on the funny and unserious side of the things depicted, which I very much welcomed. Eminence in Shadow already gave me enough edge last year that I could easily cut through any exam supervisor with it. That is completely enough for me for the time being, and I haven't seen any real comedy anime since Bocchi. There was maybe one moment in the show that wasn't made to have fun with it. If you've seen the anime, you probably remember. It wasn't anything special or particularly disturbing, but they showed you that they could make this show very unsettling and uncomfortable very quickly if they wanted to. Overall, I'm happy with the lighthearted tone they went for. Sometimes it works against its own narrative choices a bit, like when we got introduced to the villain squad for the first time, and it was very much implied that they already killed some other girls previously across other cities. They never outright say it that they killed them, but I would assume so, given how they act and talk about it. So when some of them switch sides for the last couple episodes and become Baiser's friends and teammates, should we just forget about the fact that they are just straight-up murderers? Or maybe they never really killed anyone, but then again, that isn't conveyed very clearly. But anyways, aside from that, the lighthearted vibes work perfectly. I love the dynamic between Utena and her squad, where they're just weirded out every time by her unhinged craziness. And the same goes for the other side with Azur. She even catches Baiser off guard with it, and even she's just like,
What the fuck? What the fuck is wrong with you? What the fuck is wrong with you?
Okay. Bye.
I also appreciate the fact that the child-looking character is actually a proper child this time. And with that in mind, she isn't directly sexualized in any way like the other girls, and they don't do what is a very typical thing in anime, where they clearly have a childlike figure in various fan service situations. But it's completely fine, don't worry, because her canon age is 18+, and she is actually an adult in a child body, or demon, or an elf, or a zombie, or a demigod, etc. Luckily, there is nothing like that here. Huh, never mind then. By the way, how old are the other girls again? Oh. Okay, maybe we could just scratch that part and quietly forget about it. But if you want to hear something similarly uncomfortable, just picture this show, with everything staying the same, except that the main character is a guy. Imagine the Twitter outrage it would cause then. It's pretty funny to think about it. It's also quite admirable how strictly they stick to keeping an all-female cast. Seriously, I don't know when was the last time I've seen a show where there were literally 0 guys in it. Not even side or background characters.
This is the neighborhood, and you are not welcome.
Even when it comes to the parents, we only see the mom. Huh, maybe the Disney comparison wasn't even that far off.
Put a chick in it, make her gay!
It has its drawbacks though, in the sense of I just couldn't watch more than 3 or 4 episodes in one sitting, because I'm just constantly listening to 2 or more girls talking and yelling at each other with very similar high-pitched voices, and after an hour of this, my brain just starts to slowly decompose. I had the same experience with Bochi when I watched it recently, but it's really not that bad. At least it forces you to take a break every once in a while. Anyway, I think that does it for this video. I had a great time watching the show, and I'm happy that there are people still making good fun, quality trash anime from time to time, to the cultured people like you and me. It's funny to see how this beat the Frieren manga in terms of sales, so we have every right to hope for a second season renewal. Until then, you can read the originals or revisit the current episodes again and again as many times as you want to your heart's content. And for all those brave soldiers out there, I have only one message left to tell.
I am Optimus Prime. It is time to come.